My name is Teresa Kovlak, and Ranger Ink, the maker of the ink that I used, asked me about doing a tutorial for their YouTube. And so why not? I love their products. So a big shout out to Ranger. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Whoops. The painting that we're going to be doing will be similar to this here. Won't be identical, but we'll try to get it close. First thing I'll be using is a 6x6 tile, and what we're going to do is just put down some blending solution. This helps the ink stick to the tile. And then in my little bowl I do have some 99% alcohol, and I use that for cleaning my brush. And let's go ahead and get started. So I'm just grabbing into some inks that I have laid out on the side here. And I'm not really pressing down hard at all when I'm touching in. I'm just grabbing a tiny bit and I'm bringing it over. Make sure I clean off my brush in between. That way you'll keep your colors good and clean. And I'm just grabbing a tiny bit of ink and bringing it over. Now I'm going to give it a little bit of a tip. I want to make this our clouds. I'm going to add just a tiny more blue to it. And pick up some of that mermaid. I do give myself a couple options in blues. And like I said, the colors will be listed below, so you'll know what colors I have. And just bring that over a tiny bit while it's still wet. We're going to go with our water down here. The horizon line about there. And bring in a little bit of that water. Now this painting here that I'm doing right now is a tiny bit lighter than the other, but that's okay. We'll just keep going with it. I just want to show you how to do a basic landscape. Anybody can do this, and just take your time. Remember, when using the inks, less is more. You only need a tiny bit. We'll do our rock formation over here. Make sure you clean off your brush before you go into another color. And I wipe my brush off on the paper towel. And remember, what's closer to you is going to be darker than further away. And I like bringing some different colors into my rocks. They don't have to be just black or just brown. I'm picking up the light from the sky. I'm just kind of touching in, clean off my brush, go back in, grab some of those yellows. And that's honeycomb that I'm using. Then I'm going to grab into a little bit of that pitch black. Just to add some accent colors and some shadowing. While that's drying down a little bit, we'll go ahead and work on that horizon line. And if you don't want to put the horizon line where it's land, you can just leave it the clouds meeting to the water. That's fine too. Your painting, you can do it however you want. Pick up a tiny bit of that black, bring it in. And I do keep my black in a separate container. As you can see, the inks want to climb up when you're pouring them in. And so in turn, I don't want the black getting mixed in with my colors. And then we'll go ahead and put some pine trees in. Maybe about right here. And our pine trees are far away, so, you know, they don't have to be perfect. Just kind of put in some branches. Little squiggly lines. Those always work nice. Dip into my alcohol, add it to my black a little, loosen it up. We'll make sure you don't have too much on your brush. And thicken that one up just a tiny bit. We could even have it where we see the shadow coming into the water. Make sure you do all 3 of them. You put up 5 trees and they're across the water. You want to make sure you have 5. Kind of like that. And then let's add some trees over here too. Going in, dipping in a little bit of alcohol on my black. Make sure I don't have too much. And just some little branches. Maybe we'll put some more trees on this side. When you're doing your painting, you know, you don't want 3 trees here and 3 trees here. There's not too much in nature where it's going to be so even like that unless people planted it. So we'll just put up a few more trees. And go with another one. Nice big tall one. Grab on some more ink. Make sure I don't have too much. We're going to bring those shadows down. And it's not on the land, we're just bringing the shadows into the water. Don't worry if you don't have all your branches, it's just fine. Remember, your water's moving a little, so your trees aren't going to be quite straight. It doesn't have to be real dark. There we go. And let's go ahead and work on those rocks just a tiny bit more. I'm going to add a little color into them. And then we'll go ahead and put a little bit of grass growing up in between the rocks. So I'm going to grab onto some green. I am going to go in and get a little bit of the lighter green also. So I got meadow and the limeade. And I don't want my brush real wet because I don't want it to make circles all over. I want to make grass. So just where I think it would be popping up. And we could actually turn it into flowers. So we'll just kind of pull up our stems. And then we'll put some wildflowers on there. So a nice color that will pop is the crimson. And you don't want your brush too wet because you don't want it to go all over. So let it dry down a tiny bit if you have too much alcohol on it. And I'm just going to come in and give it some flowers. I'm just using the edge of my brush. And that way I have a little more control over it than using it this way. Come back in, pick up a little more of that crimson. And just adding a little bit of flowers. And then on top of that, I'm going to go ahead and grab a little bit of that wild plum. I like when my flowers will have two colors. Just adds a little bit to it. Make sure it's not too wet. And I'm just lightly tapping on, not hard at all. And then we're just going to add a couple accents to those rocks and we're almost done. This is a good color to have, coral. Just adding a little bit of highlights in there. Not a lot, just a little. And I'm barely touching. And I think that looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and add a couple of birds up in the sky. So an easy bird to do. You can do one that looks like the letter M, but the one we're going to do will look like a V. So what I'm going to do is pick a spot that I'd like it. And I think about right here. There we go. And a couple of little birds flying. We can make his wings a little bit bigger. There we go. Well, that about does it. So I hope this video was helpful to you and maybe gave you some inspiration to paint a painting of your own. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. If you're seeing this video on Ranger, definitely subscribe to theirs and you can see their new videos. If you're watching this on mine, well, subscribe and give me a thumbs up too. So thanks again for joining me. You can see more of my work on Facebook and Instagram. And please subscribe. If you're on the Ranger site, come on over to my YouTube, which is Teresa Kovlak. Again, thanks so much for joining me and have a great rest of your day and happy painting.